If you start your cheat sheet if you haven't yet, but I wanted to give you a few ideas. You got this final exam study guide over a week ago this past Monday, so almost 2 weeks. And now you're on to making your cheat sheet. I just want to give you a quick view of some different cheat sheets I have here. This was a final exam one. This was extreme, but they wrote, small and broke it down into the different units. This one, they did a lot of drawings to help them. They did some Venn diagrams. They drew the cells. They showed some cycles. And lastly, this one, they broke it down. They started, let me get that clear. They started with DNA and protein synthesis, which is the last thing we did. They did DNA structure. They did cell energy, and they got through some other parts, diffusion and things like that. So you have 5 units that you're doing: nature of science, biochemistry, cell makeup and cell transport, that's the osmosis and stuff, cell energy, photosynthesis, and cell respiration are the main ones, and then DNA and protein synthesis, and don't forget the mutations at the end. You can go ahead and cross off, let me see. Well, you should know why DNA needs to replicate, even though we haven't gone through the major details of it. But think about that. It needs to replicate in case we need to make more cells, right? If I get a scratch, if I am healing, I also need it to grow, to get bigger when I was a baby. And lastly, to reproduce, we need to go through some cell division, so our DNA needs to replicate. Okay, so on your sheet, you guys have this slide on the daily log, but on your sheet, this first part, nature of science, it's going to be 10 of the points, all right? We just got this to be a little over 100 now, but 10 points are going to come from here. There'll probably be about 5 on each day. It's about half on each day. So you'll have 2 50-point tests on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Biochemistry is 16 points. That was the second unit. The third unit is 24 points. That's going to be going through cell structure and transport. Don't forget the difference between, a nucleus that's eukaryotic, right? And no nucleus is prokaryotic. And where do bacteria fall into that? Where do animal cells and plant cells fall into that? Okay, and then on the back, cell energy is 25 points, and then DNA, RNA, protein synthesis, and mutations is 27 points. So that way you know how you should break down your study guide. So the first thing I want you to do for your study guide is write your name somewhere. If you've already started it, write it at the bottom, write it on the back, and put a little square around it or something so I can see whose it is. And also put your period next to it. And so you get credit. You are going to turn this in when you go to turn in your study guide. Okay, so maybe you want to start with, you want to break these sections down. So maybe since the first 3 aren't as much, maybe you want to do like nature of science up in here. Okay, and maybe you want to do biochemistry next, and then cell makeup, cell transport. Okay, you can make your lines better than that, but just rough division. On the back, we got more points coming from cell energy, and so you'd kind of title that so that you know where to look. You probably want that equation. You probably want to know that glucose is C6H12O6, okay? So make sure you get the equations for photosynthesis and photosynthesis and cell respiration up there. Make sure you know chemosynthesis. Make sure you know fermentation, the fact that that's when it's really just going through glycolysis. It's not going into the Krebs cycle and into the electron transport chain, the ETC. So you're just answering these questions as you go. And then the last section, you can do DNA, protein synthesis, mutations here. But one big thing that, I pointed out on this sheet here, right there, Let's do cell structure. Sorry, cell structure. Maybe you want to make a chart. Maybe you want to go and just make, we can do this one together. Eukaryotic and prokaryotic. Okay, prokaryotic has no nucleus. Eukaryotic has a nucleus. This is larger, smaller. Both have DNA, okay? The examples of this would be plant, animal, also fungi and protists. These are cells. And this would be bacterial. Okay, that could be a quick breakdown of the different kinds. You could do the same little chart for plant versus animal. Try that one out. And some people asked if we could draw a quick cell, a eukaryotic cell. So yeah, maybe. This is an animal because it doesn't have a cell wall around it. It has a nucleus, okay? And then, you know, all cells have ribosomes because that's where the protein synthesis happens. And this one has this endoplasmic reticulum with ribosomes on it because protein synthesis can happen there. So that's ER. We have the mitochondria. You should know that one. And that has an inner membrane. And you probably should also know the Golgi apparatus because it transports the proteins in and out of the cell. And other things. Nucleus, DNA is here, right? Let's see. So all the other little ones you probably don't need to know as much. I would say those are the big takeaways. In the plant cell, you should have a chloroplast, you should have a central vacuole, a cell wall. Those are some of the things that you would see in there, but it also has a mitochondria and everything. All right, so the rest of the period, you're quietly working and making your cheat sheet. Good luck. Make sure you can see that.